We are live. Welcome to the very, very first Cockney Magpie show with my two fantastic guests. We've got Thomas Graham, all the way live from the Newcastle United Foundation. How you doing, Tom?
I'm doing fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm really well, mate. Really well.
Good.
Blessed to be talking about the greatest football team in the world. And we've got big Carl over from Newcastle Fans TV. How you going, Carl?
Yeah, good. Thank you, mate. Thank you for having me on. I feel like we're starting to do a video every month now, which is good.
It's the rules, man. It's the rules, isn't it? You know what they say? One Geordie and two not Geordies talking about Newcastle. So it's all
Perfect
good.
Combination.
Exactly, man. He's in the middle as well, so we're not moaning. Tom Sandwich. Right, we are missing one guest tonight. Unfortunately, Sav's had to drop out due to internet problems, which is a shame, but we'll grind on. Right, so we're here. We're going to start talking about Newcastle of old and the positivities we've got. Rather than talking about the current affairs and what's going on, we're going to talk about proper Newcastle United and the memories we've all got. And to do that, we're going to start off by talking about our favourite seasons. Now, to kick it off, I'm going to absolutely lump Carl in the deep end.
Oh, wow.
And start off with Carl.
We obviously had a chat about going through which ones we were going to do. And I think we just had a brief chat before this as well. It was quite hard because, thinking about some of your favourite seasons, you realise how long ago they were and you can't really remember them all. So one that sticks in my mind is the 03-04 season under Sir Bobby. It was probably one of the statistically worst seasons that we had under him, which sounds crazy to say because I think the season before we'd finished third and the season before that we finished fourth, so we didn't manage to finish in Champions League places in this season. So I think we finished fifth. But the reason for it was we had a run in the Europa League. Unfortunately lost to Marseille in the semi-final, I believe it was. I think Drogba might have scored the winner. Someone correct me if I'm wrong.
I remember that game. That was the game at their place where Drogba was an absolute beast for 90 minutes and just ripped us off the park.
Absolutely. And it was just a lot of over those three seasons, but that one for me, it was just we were not necessarily going back to being the entertainers per se, but we were always in high-scoring games. And more often than not that season, we were on the right side of it. I think there was a 4-1 win over Everton. I think Shearer got a brace in that one. I think we lost against Arsenal, but I'm sure that was like a 4-2 or a 4-3. It was just a high-scoring season. I think it was Alan Shearer. I think Shearer got 28 goals in that season as well across all competitions. So, that's the one that stands out for me. One, because of the amount of goals that Shearer scored. Two, Bobby Robson being involved. And just the squad that we had as well. Because I look back at it now and I look on paper, I think, really, you look at that squad and it's not the best on paper, if you know what I mean, in comparison to the other squads that are around. But what we were able to do under Sir Bobby Robson was just incredible. So, and I just really enjoyed that Europa League run that we had that season. I know it wasn't Champions League, but I just really, really enjoyed how that went. I think there was another game that stood out as well. I think we played Mallorca and we hammered them. And then looking at some of the players that were playing for them at the time, we had Samuel Eto'o in his prime. And
I remember those games. We smashed them home and away.
Yeah, so just things like that.
I think we've always had quite a special affair with the European competitions. I think there's always been this fairy tale around the idealistic of the club being in Europe, and I think we've always performed. Absolutely. And I remember that season you're talking about really well, especially in terms of the European run. I mean, our big undoing was a very young, very raw Didier Drogba, because we actually held them at home. And we looked like the better team. And then the return leg, I'm sure we were missing a couple of key players. But you saw from the outset, I'll always remember it as they launched the ball from kickoff up towards our corner flag to give themselves a throw in our final third. And from that point on, you just thought, we're not getting out of this at all.
Yeah. I think another one that stood out for me as well, like Titus Bramble, who could be said he was quite calamitous when it comes to the Premier League, but he was an absolute beast when it comes to European football. I don't know what happened. Like, he just become a completely different player. And I think he scored that volley against me. I think it was Mallorca as well. One from the corner where he's just like kind of scissored it into almost a top bins. And you think this is Titus Bramble, 6'9", can't move, and he's
built
scoring
like an absolute
world
brick shit house.
Yeah, people like Craig Bellamy as well, who didn't necessarily like the way he handled himself off the pitch, but he's someone that you wanted in your team. One of those really annoying players that can get under your skin, and was always, a fantastic goal scorer for us. So that season for me stood out massively. I absolutely loved it. And like I said, Shearer scoring 28 goals was just massive. As we all do, I absolutely adored the man, and I think that was one of his better seasons.
The greatest.
Yeah.
The greatest. Tom, you got any thoughts on that season?
I definitely remember Didier Drogba come to St James's Park. I think we drew 0-0 in the first leg, and then obviously we got beat 2-0, unfortunately, at their place. But I do remember, even in the home game, I think Drogba hit the post or the bar, and you thought, and you just thought, who is this guy? Because he wasn't really well known then, was he, when he was at Marseille?
No.
And had we got past Marseille, I think we would have definitely went on and won that trophy that year. So it was a hard one to digest, but Didier Drogba, look at where he went into his career. So fair play to Marseille.
I don't think they won it that year, though, did they?
They didn't. They got beat.
They didn't win.
Was it Sporting Lisbon that beat them in the final?
I can't remember.
I'm not sure. I definitely know they didn't win it, but as you say, I think under Bobby Robson, the Bobby Robson years are the ones where we should have won a trophy.
Yeah.
Like, massively. We were such a good team. But going back to your point about Bramble, the thing that went wrong with him was losing Bobby as a manager.
Mm.
Once Bobby went, which was always the wrong decision, he just went backwards. I mean, can you imagine? It's like you've gone from Bobby Robson to Graham Souness. It just doesn't marry up. Graham Souness is renowned for being a top drawer manager. He's never really bought players through of any quality. So you've got Bobby Robson, who's renowned for being an absolutely fantastic manager, to that.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. Yeah, like you're right. I think he probably gets a bit more stick than he should do. But yeah, he's just it's just a weird one, just a complete polar opposite player when it comes to domestic and European competitions. But yeah.
Lee puts it well. Lee is a pal of mine off Twitter, and he's referring to Titus in his normal name that all Newcastle fans know him under is Titus Shambles. But I agree. I think the first couple of seasons he was here, obviously he had better partners that he played alongside.
Yeah.
And to lose that and go into a team managed by a manager that probably wasn't the right fit for the club, and to lose, I mean, he played alongside Woodgate under Robson. And for me, Woodgate's one of the best centre halves we've had at the club.
I agree. I think it proves how much, when he left the club, he wasn't the same player. When he wasn't playing under Bobby, I think, like you say, a lot of players felt that effect. Absolutely. I
think a lot of players have had that effect at the club. I think generally when they've left, I'm not saying this just as a fan, but when they've left the club, their careers haven't necessarily gone to the heights that they thought they would.
Yeah.
Especially around the era. If you look at players like Jermaine Genius, for example, he went to Tottenham and he did all right. But I feel like he was a better player at Newcastle than he ever was at Tottenham.
Definitely.
And I mean, I'm going to jump on and say my personal favourite season, or one of, was actually the season before yours, Carl. So I've actually gone for the 02-03 season, which again was under Bobby Robson. And it's a season we finished third in the league. I think it was Man United, Arsenal, then us. And we were just so entertaining to watch the whole season. We had that fantastic Champions League run. The first team in Champions League history to lose the first 3 group games and still qualify. We had a fantastic Premier League seat. All right, we didn't do so well in the Cups. I think we got knocked out of the League Cup by Everton, and the FA Cup, I think we were beaten by Wolves. But the team that we had, the players that we had, the way they played for the club and for Bobby was absolutely fantastic. And it's just one of them seasons that's always stuck in my mind as just an absolutely phenomenal season. Get your words out, Josh. But it was Rafa's Valencia that beat Marseille in the final. Big shout from Ian. The second greatest manager we've ever had at the club. After Steve Bruce. No comment. That's the only Steve Bruce comment, I promise. But yeah, no, that 02-03 season was just, for me, was near on one of the best seasons I've ever seen us have. I think it was one of them seasons. We started the season brilliantly. We beat West Ham 4-0 at home. Lua was on fire because we were actually missing Bellamy for the start of the season.
Yeah.
And it was just, we had a little bit of a wobble just after that. But after that wobble, we were just really, really consistent the whole season. It was just fantastic to watch. And to watch the Champions League back at St James's Park, and just to see Shearer scoring goals, young talent coming through. It's just, they're the memories that I cherish and I look for. It's just, that's what I remember as a fan. Is none of this negativity, non-passionate, angry stuff that we see nowadays. It's the passion, the want to win, the want to watch Newcastle home and away. And just players that gave a toss about the club. They wanted to be involved and they wanted to win games and play for the manager. And that's what I remember, and that's what made me fall in love with the club. I mean, obviously, I'm not a Geordie. I'm not from Newcastle, but I've been a fan of the club for 26 years now, 27 years. And I just remember falling in love with them. When you've got a striker like Alan Shearer up top, banging in goals week in, week out, you've got Nobby Solano on one wing, Laurent Robert on the other wing. It's just, you talk about, no, it's a teenager's wet dream, that.
Definitely.
Like, it's phenomenal. I mean, I don't know if you two remember much about that season.
I mean, off the top of my head, I'm trying to think. I don't. I probably will do the Champions League, but like I said, I was concentrating on the season I was speaking about. But just like you said, looking back at the players we had, actually caring about the club. I was watching some of the videos today, and I was just like, I could remember so vividly how it feels to how it felt to support the club then, because it is completely different now. But yeah, it was just incredible. Just like I had some warm, fuzzy feelings today, definitely from looking back on it. Something that I've definitely missed. But in terms of actual games, I'm trying to wrap my brain. I can't think of anything in the actual season itself.
It was. I'll give you mine. The wobble, the Shearer volley
against Everton.
Yeah,
disgusting goal.
One of. Do you know what though? I'm gonna throw it. That was not his best Newcastle goal.
Which one was?
That's a very controversial opinion. Which one? Do you remember the one where he held off Desai?
No,
who at the time was probably one of the best centre-halves in the world.
Yeah.
Held him off like he was a nothing. He might as well have not been a footballer. And then smashed it into the bottom corner from 30 yards out.
I do.
That, for me, Shearer's best goal.
Fair enough.
I think the audacity of it. Don't get me wrong, the volley is world class. But the audacity to hold off Marcel Desailly for a good 5-10 yards before banging it into the bottom corner was phenomenal. Yeah. And I'll always remember that one because I think I nearly gave my dad a heart attack because he was actually asleep on the sofa at the time when that went in. And I'm not the quietest when we score a goal.
Definitely.
But Tom, do you remember anything about that season in particular? Or
to be quite honest, I was probably just a bit too young to remember them in terms of the whole season. But I do remember, am I right, we beat Manchester United 4-3 that year? Or was that the year after when?
I think that was the year after, because I think that year we got battered by Man United at home.
Oh, was that 6-2, wasn't it?
That was 6-2, yeah.
Yeah.
That was the one where Jermaine Gina scored that ridiculous half volley from the edge of the area. And then that was it for the rest of the game.
I think I remember, just like I say, blips. Probably the time we had derbies as well. I think it would have been Bobby's first. We beat Sunderland away 1-0, I believe. Nikos Dabizas scored, if I remember rightly. But yeah, just like you touched upon, like some of the legends of Newcastle United back then, and taking over kind of a different era with Keegan. And he brought, you're definitely right, his man management brought the best out of some players which you probably didn't believe in. But I'd always remember the likes of Solano, Robert, Shearer, Bellamy, Speed, Rob Lee, just phenomenal to watch, and, everything from a Newcastle United fan perspective you want to see in your team.
No, they were fantastic. They were such a good squad. Going back to my season, do you think players like Hugo Viana were massively underappreciated by the fans? Or do you think he was one of these players that came across and just didn't quite crack it?
It's a hard one. He had his moments, didn't he? Similar to Patrick Kluivert when he come, like obviously there's a big name there, a lot of money involved, and probably didn't live up to that transfer fee. But he had his moments, and he probably just didn't find his feet under the table, if you like. And sometimes that happens when you buy players. Sometimes it doesn't always work out. So it was a shame, but. Like I say, he had his moments. He had moments of class.
It was a tough team to get into, though, I think. I mean, the position he played in, he was either left mid or left centre mid. And you're battling against Laurent Robert, who, for me, is one of the best left wingers we've ever had at the club. And I rate him so highly within the hierarchy of wingers. I put him above Ginola. I put him above Ben Arthur. I genuinely think he's probably the best left winger we've had at the club. Again, controversial, but I think he had a bit more of everything than the other two. But then he's obviously up against Dyer, who at that time was phenomenal. Yeah,
he was good.
Gary Speed was one of the best players we've ever had at the team. And that, so I've got a feeling he was maybe didn't get the opportunities he would have got at other clubs because of the cracking players he had in that position.
Definitely, I think because he was touted to be like a free kick specialist as well, but when you've got Laurent Robert on the side, you're never going to take one, are you?
The man who shoots from 70 yards.
Yeah, or sparks Olivier Bernard from 5, ping one off his chin. It was definitely difficult for him. I don't know. I can't remember if he was underappreciated. That's the only thing. I know the jersey that you've got, the shirt that you've got on behind you, reminds me of him massively. The grey and the navy blue one. Yeah, that he's the first player that comes to mind when I see that shirt, to be fair. So I don't know if he was underappreciated. I don't know.
I think he's one of them players that'll always be like a bit of a ghost player. People would remember him and know who he is, but I don't think he'll ever be recognised as a player that was that good.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've been watching back highlights of it today, and some of the football we played was insane. Like, we were playing teams off the pitch. And it's
Clarence Acuna, I think, in those years as well, wasn't there? There's people like that.
Yeah. And Bassidas. Yeah. We've had some quality, man. Carl Court.
Yeah.
Carl Court was there at that time. And, I mean, I got a few to play. I mean, we had Big Shay in goal.
Yeah.
Aaron Hughes as well, actually. He's one of them players. I always loved him. I thought he was quality. A player we should never let go, in my opinion. And
did he go to Fulham after? Was it Fulham he went to?
Did. I think it was Fulham. Was it Fulham or was it... He never played for West Ham, did he?
I don't think so.
It must have been Fulham then. But I just thought he was class. But he was Mr. Versatile, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Absolutely unreal. I mean, you're talking like Shearer, Viana, Robert, Andy O'Brien, Dyer, Genus, Dabizas. Just... players that roll off the tongue, not compared to more modern times where you're not necessarily as impressed by them, but the ones back then, I'm looking at it now thinking, what a team I could make out of that. It's just incredible. But we're going to move on from me loving on about that team and the greatest manager we've ever had to Thomas.
Yeah. So I went for, like I said, the years you have mentioned, obviously, without doubt, probably some of the best years Newcastle have seen of recent times. And I do remember blips of it, but the one I went for was the first year I was a season ticket holder in the 2005-2006 season. Also, Alan Shearer's last ever season. Now, I started supporting Newcastle United because of Alan Shearer. I remember my first ever game. I can't remember what year it was. We beat Spurs 6-1 in the Cup. And Alan Shearer actually scored. You mentioned about one of his best ever goals. After 5 minutes, Shearer scored one of his best ever goals. Not the best goal, but where he had two defenders, one either side of him. He chests it, he knees it and volleys into the top corner. Yeah. And I just remember looking up to me stepdad and saying, "Who on earth is that?" And he said, "Just listen, son." and back then, the crowd used to join in. You know, number 9, Alan Shearer. And honestly, hooked from that moment. I remember seeing Shearer's hat-trick, but no one else who scored. So I didn't actually know another Newcastle United player until around 1999 when Ketsbayer came on for Newcastle as a sub against Chelsea in the FA Cup semi-final at Wembley. I was like, God, who's he? He looks keen. And he nearly took out the goalkeeper running on the pitch. But yeah, so with that season, it was my first ever season as a season ticket holder, but I shared it with me two other brothers. And we did it really fairly. So the club do it as well. They'll categorize the teams like A, B, or C based on, maybe if it's Sunderland, it's a category A. And then your lesser clubs will be like a category C. So we really shared it out. And that year, the first game I went to, we played Manchester United at home and we got beat 2-0. And then I didn't actually go to a game until February. And the reason was because my scheduled games got postponed because of the weather. So I was just really unlucky. But, out of the three of us, me and my brothers, I was always the one who was obsessed with Alan Shearer. Everything he did, absolutely obsessed with him, like the majority of Newcastle United fans. But my next game was in February in the Premier League. And obviously I've missed all these games because they've been postponed. And it was Portsmouth at home. And I think you know what's coming next. I was in the Gallagher end in the corner, played through by the legend Shola Amiobi. Shearer toe point through the keeper's legs, the record breaker against Portsmouth. And that was like fate. It was like I was meant to be there in the Gallagher corner. And he ran to the exact same corner I was sat in. And, he himself mentioned about goosebumps moment. Everyone there that day was a really, really special moment. You talk about other football clubs. Have you ever seen, an appreciation and the welcome he got as well, but also the send-off and what Alan Shearer got at Newcastle United, and obviously that season, there was other memories in that season. We beat Sunderland away 4-1 where Shearer scored his last ever goal for the club. We beat them at home 3-2 where the Mackham Slayer was born and Shola Amiobi. And other memories like beating Chelsea at home, who hadn't been beaten away from home under Jose Mourinho. But, you mentioned him before, Titus Bramble with an unbelievable volley at the Gallagher end to win 1-0. So loads of special memories. But, I think in particular, just, another legend who we've sadly just lost in Glenn Roeder, probably another really unappreciated individual at the club. He's done really well as a player, as a captain, and, he did really good as a manager. He took over. I think it was Graham Souness, and we're in the bottom end of the table.
I think
and
we ended up 15th, mate. Yeah, 15th.
Yeah, and we ended up finishing 7th, which qualified for the Intertoto Cup, which we won. The famous Intertoto Cup.
They all count.
And we went to Europe. And I think Glenn Roeder, he was a big part of that, and that Shearer's testimonial again, like just to wrap off from that season, from my perspective. I don't know if you've ever been to a game like that before, but the 52,000 fans there for one man. But also, a friend of mine was talking about this, and it really represented not just about how special this one bloke was, but also what Newcastle United was about. The city, the fan base, the stadium. It was just absolutely phenomenal. And probably a day which we probably took for granted looking back, because we're probably never going to see a player like Alan Shearer at Newcastle United again, being a Geordie, being a local lad, scoring that many goals, but also being a world legend. So yes, the 2005-2006 season was my all-time favourite season.
The Alan Shearer season.
The Alan Shearer season, yeah.
Do you know what? I'll reiterate what you said about the testimonial. I was there. I was lucky. I was sat in the Gallagher for that. And it was one of the most insane nights. The loudest crowd I've ever heard. And when he got that absolute blatant penalty in the last minute, which should have been a sending off, I'm going to throw it out there. Awful challenge on Ferdinand. The roar, even before he kicked the ball to take the penalty, was incredible. Like, I actually burst a blood vessel in my head, cheering that Alan Shearer goal, and I had to sit down while we were celebrating because I thought I was going to pass out. I've never cheered a goal like it. It wasn't even a proper goal. So...
It was. Not taking that away from him.
But no, that season was fantastic. I mean, you mentioned the games against them down the road. And I'm sure that was the season that Emre scored that absolute worldy free kick against them.
It was.
And I'll give them their credit, I was at that game and I remember they scored 2 worldies as well. I'm going to give them a little bit of credit just because, they won the Domino's Pizza Trophy the other day. But, no, that season stands out. That was such a good season. Such a good kit as well. That was the thin stripes of the blue Northern Rock, wasn't it?
It was, yes.
What a kit.
It was gold. It was gold.
Was it gold?
It was gold, yeah. It was the gold one, yeah.
Before.
Yeah.
But no, that was a fantastic season. As you say, Roda did such a good job. Like, he really did. He was an unsung manager for me. I thought he came in and did such a good job. The mess that Souness left the team in, and the fact Roda come in when we were struggling, like seriously struggling. And I think, did we finish 7th or 8th that season?
7th, yeah.
And then to take us back into Europe via the Intertoto Cup, which we thoroughly deserved to win. I've never seen a player look more happy than Scott Parker holding up the trophy. maybe Colaccini holding that boat trophy. Slightly up there, but yeah, it's just memories. I mean, as you say, we have to live in the past as Newcastle fans. And I think every team does, though. I think even if you talk to Liverpool fans at the minute, all right, they won the Premier League last season, but before that point, they're always living backwards. But that's where you get your best memories from. And people say, oh, we're deluded as fans, but we were one of the best teams in England for quite a long period, for a good 10 years. We competed on every level. We should have won the Premier League more than once. And I'm not even talking about the 12-point season where we should have absolutely pissed it. I'm talking under Keegan, the season Shearer signed. A couple of Bobby seasons, we were close. But we've always come up against that brick wall. This has been Manchester United or Arsenal.
I think we were under Dalglish. It might have been 98. I think we finished second. Did we finish second under Dalglish? I think.
Yeah, I think we did.
Like then, we had opportunities to go out and win that season, to be fair.
He sold the wrong players, Dalglish, though. I always say his biggest downfall was selling the core of the squad when he probably didn't need to.
Yeah.
I mean, we were always renowned as being the entertainers, so why we needed to sell our best players off was always beyond me. Always beyond me. But, I mean, we're talking about historical players and the love for Shearer. I think you're right, Tom. I don't think there will ever be another player that ever comes close to him. I mean, I'm the same as you. I'm deeply, deeply in love. Even now, I'm still deeply in love with the man. He's just a phenomenal man. And some of the goals are just insane. Absolutely insane. But what we're going to do, go on.
Obviously, on the note of Shearer, you've mentioned the best goal, but what was your favourite Shearer goal? Because we've all got one. What was your favourite Shearer goal, guys?
Mine's quite easy, to be fair. Being from the Midlands, it was the audacious look at Schmeichel and just a little tap off the boot volley, far corner, to essentially win the game. And absolutely class. I was just made my week. But yeah, it was just the absolute audacity of it. Like, he hadn't had a very good game either. And that ball, I think it was who did the ball come over the top front? I think it was Rob Lee. Yeah. And it's just literally just tapped it off his boot, and it's just gone past Schmeichel, and Schmeichel just looked at him as if to say, "Who do you think you are?" And I just absolutely loved it. So that was my favourite goal.
Class. What about you, Josh?
Me, the second against Tottenham in the FA Cup semi-final. The way he took the ball on the outside of his foot from the edge of the area, and the way it hit the stanchion as it went in, bar post in. Honestly, that goal. Even now, I watched it earlier on YouTube, and it's just phenomenal. The way he catches it. There's not another player. I know there's always this big debate, especially nowadays, about the greatest striker in Premier League history. There's not a player that comes close to Alan Shearer in terms of goal scoring, in terms of what he gave to the team. I know they say about Henry, say about Kane. Henry was a phenomenal player. He was brilliant, class. But Alan Shearer was the ultimate striker. And that goal against Spurs, I mean, he scored the penalty a few minutes before. And then it's just the way the ball rolled out to him. And his only thought was, I'm smashing the life out of it. Like, you're not getting close. I think it was Ian Walker in goal. So, you're not getting close to this. If it hits the bar, it's breaking the bar. And but there was just so many, wasn't there? I mean,
yeah.
it was always going to turn into Shearer loving because we're always going to talk about the seasons where he was there and he performed and the managers we had back then. And he just scored some of the best goals you can. He scored everything. Every goal he scored was different. Whether they were... Go on, Carl.
I was just gonna see what Thomas's favourite goal was.
Other than the one I've mentioned, the record breaker, one which I just think summarises him because I went to a game, I think it was Sporting Lisbon in the UEFA Cup. I think it was a group stage game. Cross comes in, heads it in, referee blows his whistle, disallowed. Back to a free kick. So obviously there was like something going on what made the referee blow his whistle. So it goes back to Robert. And Shearer's in the exact same position, exact same crossing, exact same move in the back of the net. And it just, summarise them. Sometimes you couldn't do anything about him. You couldn't mark him. And, the defender who's been marking him there, imagine how red-faced you are there. Like, he's just done you twice.
Same goal.
In the same goal. And I just thought that's Alan Shearer for you. He's phenomenal. So that would probably be just because of the absolute audacity of it.
He just had a bit of everything, though, didn't he? He was just... I mean, yeah, it's Alan Shearer, man. You can talk about him for hours, days, weeks. Like, it's just everything about him was just cracking. But, right, we're going to move on. We're going to move on from talking about seasons to talking about players, not just Shearer.
I'm not sure it's going to change that much.
Not just Shearer. We are going to name, between us, our favourite Newcastle United 11 over the years that we've been watching. So you have to have seen this player play.
Okay.
Because there's been a few shout-outs for Super Mac, Terry Hibbert. I was lucky I saw Beardsley, but not enough of him that I'd put him in my personal team. Phenomenal player. Absolute, the Messi of old. He was outstanding, but he was a little bit before my time. So it's players that we know, we love, and we trust.
We've got to agree, have we?
We've got to agree.
We've got to agree, okay.
We have to agree. So we are going to start with a goalkeeper.
Shea Given.
Yeah, I'm with Shea Given as well.
I'm with Given. I'm going to be honest.
As much as I love Pavel and Xhaka, I love them, but yeah, Given was the one for me, especially at our kind of age, I think.
Yeah. Do you think? Now you mentioned Pav, and you mentioned Xhaka.
Yeah.
Do you actually think they were that good?
I feel like that's a loaded question. I don't know what to say.
Because I love Pav and I love Xhaka, but I always thought they weren't the best goalkeepers. I always felt like there was a mistake there. And I think Cernacek especially was an amazing man. Got the club, got the city. But I don't necessarily think we had that top goalkeeper that would have got us over the line into winning the league.
You think that's because they had Schmeichel, Manchester United?
Possibly.
Yeah, I'd agree with what you said there, Thomas. I'd never really looked at it like that, Josh. I'm not going to lie. Because I was at that age, for me, like that squad was so amazing. No one was like nobody was. I didn't look at it that way. Everyone was amazing. Like they were the best in the world to me. So, and I haven't looked back at it enough to say whether they were good or bad. But in my eyes, they were the best. So I'm gonna go with that.
I was the same back then. I thought, you know what, these are amazing. Look at the kits.
Yeah.
Look at these two units in goal. But the more I sort of look back, the more you look and you think, maybe if we had a better keeper, like Schmeichel level, we would have won the league. But that's just me being a cynic. It's what the club's turned me into. But right back. Now I think this is quite a tough one.
It is. I'm going to put a shout out there, which he ended his career at Norberto Solano. He finished his career as a right back, and I just think because it gives me the freedom of putting other class players in the midfield.
Interesting.
Because he finished his career there.
I like that thought process. I like the thought process.
It's cheating, but it's a good call.
Probably wasn't the best right back we've had, but just, I'm cheating.
I like it, but let's talk about right backs. He's a good shout, to be fair, though. I mean, Solano was one of them players. He gave everything.
Yeah.
And I mean, I watched his interview with your boys, actually. It was Newcastle Fans TV that did it, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And some of the stuff he come out with about the way he was treated towards the end of his Newcastle career is disgusting, considering what he gave for us.
Matt, I was really surprised how open he was about that, to be honest. But yeah, it was interesting. It was interesting, definitely.
Great bloke. But in terms of actual right backs, I'm not just taking away Solano from the right back position, but in terms of actual right backs, who would be your shout?
Aaron Hughes is up there for me. I'm not going to lie. Aaron Hughes is up there for me.
I loved Hughes. Warren Barton.
Yeah, Warren Barton as well. 100%. It's yeah. I would personally probably Warren Barton would probably edge it for me.
I'm going to go for someone slightly more recent, and I'm going to throw Danny Simpson into the hat.
Great shout. Very, very underrated.
I thought he was absolutely brilliant for us.
And he was.
I was sad to see him leave. I think he left at the wrong time.
Not for him, he didn't. He went and won the league, didn't he?
Yeah,
well, he wants to play for Leicester. No one wants to play for Leicester.
That's a tough one, though.
It is a tough one. Right back is a tough one.
Tough. I don't think we've ever had any really outstanding right backs in the time I've supported the club.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I mean, you've got players like Jan Matt, but no comment.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, maybe one or two good seasons, okay seasons.
Debussy.
Again, he went off the...
Yeah.
He was, wasn't he? But he went off the boil a bit.
Scored against the Mackhams, though.
But he's another one, like you said. He's left Newcastle to go on and do things, and he was rubbish.
He was awful for Arsenal.
Yeah.
It's racking your brain. You're like, right, who actually played at right back for the club?
Yeah.
So you got Barton, and then you got a period where I can't actually remember who played there. Andy Griffin. You
had Stephen Carr.
Yeah, Stephen Carr had a couple of... I liked his aggression.
He was a unit, wasn't he? He was he was a tank. He would just run through people, did not care. Habib Bey,
he was good.
Just because he had one of the best songs.
Again, one of those kits behind you, that reminds me of him, like the green and navy one. That reminds me of Habib Bey.
Class Habib. I liked Habib Bey.
I'm gonna jump on with you, Josh, and I'm gonna go for Danny Simpson. I think that's a really good shout.
You got to go with the majority, and I'm not against it. I'm not against it. I completely agree. Like he was definitely underrated. Definitely.
I think the problem's going to be when it comes to the midfield. I think there's too many options, but
well, you should have put Solano there.
We grind, right? So centre back, two centre backs. Woodgate,
good shout.
Colaccini.
Another good shout.
Philippe.
4.
Peacock.
I was going to say, I'm a big fan of Darren Peacock.
I love Darren Peacock.
Long time ago.
That goal against Man United, which was over the line by yards.
Who else?
It's tough, isn't it? You know, when you're thinking about it, you're thinking, who is there that played in that exact position?
Philippe Albert played there at times, though, didn't he?
Yeah, Philippe Albert was a centre half. I'd throw Lascelles in.
I love Lascelles
as an option. Look at Carl's face.
Do you know what it is, mate? Like, I love Jamal Lascelles, and I love the fact that, you know, he's our captain, and I think he's a leader. But I'm
captain leader Lascelles.
I'm not convinced on his centre half ball playing facilities that he's got.
Dabizas,
another great show.
Stephen Taylor. Exactly. No one's like, Stephen Taylor is good now. The only thing Taylor is ever remembered for is getting shot against the Villa.
It was a good moment. I
just love the fact that he was like he was obviously a homegrown lad and put his heart on his sleeve all the time.
He loved playing for the club. Go on, Tom. Who you got?
I think Jonathan Woodgate's got to be in there, hasn't he? He was unbelievable. He was just world class. It's a shame what happened when he went to Real Madrid, but what a player he was.
I genuinely think for me he's the best centre half I've seen at the club. And I know he wasn't there long, and a lot of people are going, "Oh yeah, but this and the other." As a player, you're never going to turn down a move at the time to the best Real Madrid team they've ever had.
No, definitely not.
We're not going to turn down that money, especially for a player who was injured as often as Woodgate.
This is true.
He was world class, and that was the caliber of player that Bobby could get. Because other teams wanted him, but we got him because of Bobby.
100%. 100%.
So Wood is pending.
Wood is in. Is he in?
Wood is in. And I'm shouting for Colo.
Colaccini.
I
think it's Colo or Albert.
Again, I don't think I've seen enough of Albert. Well, I did. I just can't. I can only remember a couple of seasons properly. But yeah, I loved Colaccini. Loved him.
I just everything about him. The hair, just strangling that little Brazilian boy. Just everything. It was just the song, which Tom's going to sing for us now.
Yeah, if you boys are on Cola, I'm on Cola as well.
I think he's one of those players that just got the club. All right, his start to his career at Newcastle was rough and a little bit ropey, but the championship season made him.
Yeah, he was incredible.
He was brilliant. It defined him, and he was phenomenal to watch at the club. I just felt like he got it, and there's not many players that do.
No.
And that right left back,
tough one.
Do we remember it?
Bobby R, did he play left back?
Oh, do you know what? He gets so much stick. I love Bobby Aro.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was about him, but I loved it.
Olivier Bernard.
Jose Enrique.
Yeah, Enrique was class at times. I loved him.
I didn't like him.
What do you mean, Josh?
I don't know.
You're throwing Jamal Lascelles at me for being one of the best centre halves of the club, and you don't like Jose Enrique.
I don't know what it was. I don't know. I never got it with him.
It's because he broke your heart and left. He went to Liverpool, didn't he?
He did, but can you blame him?
I think we've got to go for Olivier Bernard, haven't we?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of others. You know what I mean? There's just certain positions at Newcastle that you're like,
we've always been weak at.
Who played there?
Yeah,
John Beresford played there. Not that
Beresford.
Yeah,
he would have been probably
right. I can't remember.
No,
I think he played a bit of both, didn't he?
Didn't we have Barton on the right, Beresford on the left?
I think that does sound familiar.
Mm-hmm.
And he was Aaron Hughes played there a lot, as did Andy Griffin.
Andy O'Brien, I think he weighed out there sometimes as well.
Definitely. My mates just texted me and said, "What about Paddy Van Arnholt?" But you know, do you know what? I liked him.
Yeah, he was in the Championship, wasn't he, on loan from Chelsea?
Yeah.
I thought he was decent. Yeah, he's done great things for Palace.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm Team Bernard. I'm going to be honest.
Team Bernard.
Yeah.
The partnership he had down the left with Laurent Robert was brilliant.
What about that worldie he scored as well?
Against
the one
Arsenal.
That was supposed to be a cross.
Was that the one against Arsenal?
No. Look, I don't know if it was Arsenal or Man United. Was it Man United?
It was Man United, that one. But do you remember the one against Arsenal where he's played the worst 1-2 you've ever seen, taking it too wide, and they just pinged it into the top corner?
Yeah.
Like, that was unreal.
Do you remember when
sparked out?
Yeah, I was about to mention that by Robert.
Robert's hilarious. It's just like stagger out. Robert's like, I don't really know what to do. He sees him at the floor and he's like,
it's a proper. Do you remember the WWF when people used to get stunned by Stone Cold Steve? That's what it was. It just went down.
Such a delayed reaction.
Like minutes in, like let's just wobble it off.
You think he must have hit that ball at like 60, 70 miles an hour easily, straight off the chin.
I don't know how he hasn't killed him, to be honest, but you know. Right midfield, lads. This is where it's going to get feisty. It's going to get hard. Right mid.
Well, because I wasn't knowing about right back, Nobby Solano. Unbelievable. Yeah. You know, if I compare him to, without over-exaggerating, David Silva, you know, he was an absolute magician on the ball. He technically sublime. You know, he could ping a pass, he could score, He could tackle. He was an engine. He worked hard. Just an absolute phenomenal player. I loved him.
He was quality. He had everything. I think if he'd played for anyone else around that period, say a Manchester United or an Arsenal, he would have got world recognition.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Who we got? Ben Arthur.
Mate, I absolutely adored the man, but he's just
Hit and
wasted
miss.
talent, wasn't he? Wasted
Absolutely.
talent, unfortunately. He had so much potential. Like people used to, when he was young, and people were talking that he could be like on the level with Messi. Like if he had any sort of application, like he really could have. He could have if he had any application.
If he had the right attitude, I think he would have definitely been up
like
there.
on that level.
I mean, he was always touted, wasn't he, as one of the big boys.
Definitely. Like
what
he could do with the ball was just ridiculous.
Oh, the goal against Blackburn, the goal against Bolton.
Yeah.
There's one against.
I think there's one against Everton, wasn't there, as well?
Was that his debut where he pings it from 35 yards?
Yeah.
There's another one. Was it against Fulham? It's either Fulham or Charlton where he picks it up on the left.
I think it was Villa, mate.
Was it Villa? He beats like 6 players.
And then
smashed it into the roof.
Pins. Yeah, that was Villa, mate.
Like,
I think we beat him
incredible.
6-0 or something like that day.
Like, he was just different class.
Yeah, just wasted talent. I think it would be Solano for me. Definitely.
There's more, lads.
He's
There's
incredible.
more. Gillespie.
I would...
Gillespie, what a show.
Oh, Stephen Glass.
Stephen?
What are you laughing for?
I can't say Beardsley for the midfield at all. I saw my first game and he assisted Shearer. I think that was in like 96 against Coventry on a Tuesday night. But again, don't remember seeing enough of him to include him.
No, I agree. I don't think I wouldn't put Beardsley in just because I never saw enough of him. And when I did, he was probably a little bit too old to be playing.
Yeah.
But there's players like, who else is there? Gillespie, Glass. I'm trying to think who played out there. It's another one of
Kieran Dyer played out there for a bit under Bobby.
He was brilliant, Dyer, you know.
He was. It was always between him and Solano, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think he's another one of them players that if he'd had a better attitude, he could have been one of the best in the world.
Who were we playing against? And he scored that goal where he's like lobbed 2 players, flicked the ball over their head, and then gone on a run and then lobbed the keeper. I can't remember who it was against.
Everton.
Everton, yeah.
It was Everton.
That rings a bell.
It was a League Cup game. I've literally just watched it.
So I think I've still got the shirt. I'll have to find it out. But the black NTL one, and it was the only shirt had. It was the all black one.
Oh,
the away kit.
Southampton. I always remember that game.
It was that one, and it was the only shirt that didn't have Shearer on the back, and it had Dyer because he was class to me.
He was brilliant. He was just one of them players. He was just so frustrating.
Yeah,
I think as a fan now, as an older fan, you'd look at him and go, "What are you doing?
Definitely.
Do something better with the ball. Stop fannying on." But on his day, he was just brilliant. But we've had so many of them players that have been brilliant on their day, not quite up to scratch any other time.
Yeah.
But I'm pushing. I don't think it could be anyone other than Nobby.
I'm in on Nobby.
I've heard, mate.
Yeah, we had to get him on the channel somehow.
Right, we're going to jump over to left midfield. There's 3 big shouts. There's Laron, there's David, and there's Jonas.
Oh.
For me.
We're going for favourite, aren't we? Or we're going for best?
Whatever you want, mate. Go on, you go.
I think if you go for favourite, it's got to be Gutierrez. You know, just he got it, didn't he? You know, he wasn't the best gifted players. You know, he had a bit of skills, loved winning free kicks. You know, he had a really good skill to that. Got his Spider-Man mask out once or twice. He scored some big goals, you know, keeping her up. He obviously, you know, beat cancer, come back, and then kept Newcastle up.
The winner against West Ham.
The winner against West Ham, and the assist for Sissoko's header. Oh. People forget about
that. What's the Sissoko?
club legend Gutierrez in my eyes. But phenomenal. Best, you mentioned him before, Laurent Robert. You know, he's he was just phenomenal. You know, he could do everything, any range, could score a goal. He could pick out a pass. So best, I think, would probably be Robert. But my favourite would be Gutierrez. Go on, Carl.
I'm just trying to wrap my
Or
brain, but in
if
terms
you've
of
got others.
no, I think no, definitely Laurent Robert. Laurent Robert. He was one of my favourite players of all time for Newcastle, so I couldn't look past him at all. But I agree with Thomas. Like Jonas Gutierrez just epitomised Newcastle, and you know, absolutely again adored the man. But best for me was Laurent Robert, definitely.
Completely agree. I as I said earlier on, I just think he was levels above. I love Ginola. I mean, we're not mentioning Ginola, and some of the stuff he did was.
Yeah.
I mean, that goal where he juggles it on the edge of the area, flicks it over the defender, and puts it into the top corner. You just don't do that. It's just
it's just one of them, isn't it? Like, we probably didn't see him enough.
No. It's like with a lot of players we've had that they've always been phenomenal on their day. I mean, we've got one in the squad now in ASM.
Yeah.
On his day, he's unplayable, but let's say out of 5 games, he's only going to do that twice. And I think Ginola was very much in that bracket. And I'm not saying Robert wasn't, because he had times where he disappeared, but he could put that ball on top of anyone's head.
Absolutely.
He had the bottle to shoot from anywhere on the pitch. I mean, I always remember the 2 goals against Tottenham. Like, there was the spinning volley and just the ping from about 40 yards. It just both flew, and you're like, why are you doing this? Like, or have you seen the flying ninja goal against Fulham? You've got to Google it. YouTube it after, right? There's a cross comes in and it's behind him. And he flicks out his back legs, spins on the ball, knocks it in with his heel, back over Van der Sar. And it's just, honestly, just YouTube it after, and you won't regret it. It's phenomenal. But I'm with you on Laurent.
Laurent.
Yeah.
We've got to go with that.
And now we've got the really easy task of choosing 2 centre midfielders out of a very weak set of players that we've ever had.
So who's what options? We've got obviously Gary
Speed, Rob
Lee,
Cabaye.
Yeah, Cabaye's a great shout.
Tiote.
Yeah.
Kevin Nolan.
Kevin, honestly, what a man. What a man.
We'd
have him back at the club any day.
Yeah, maybe not
Great
as a manager, but I think it's quite a heavy list, centre mid.
Yeah, it is, isn't it, to be fair?
There's quite a lot of players you could put in there. I'm actually going to throw someone current out and go with Isaac Hayden.
Interesting.
I love Isaac Hayden.
Now, I've got a very, very deep love for Isaac Hayden because that man reached out to me and connected, and we chat every now and again, and he's a phenomenal man. So I'm putting him in there for that, and because he's class.
Fair enough.
I'm going to jump on that. I love it, and he himself, he's had tough times. You know, when he had that period where it looked like he was going to leave, didn't it?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And you know, he had family. I think it was down south.
Yeah.
You know, and he didn't ever really let it affect him on the pitch, did he? He's always got on with it. He's really consistent with performances. And I do think, again, he just gets Newcastle United, doesn't he?
He had a patch, didn't he, where he was almost hounded out by the fans, especially on social media, because he had the red card against Cardiff.
Yeah, he did.
When he was playing from right back, and everyone's going, oh, he's awful. And then he came back a few games later after suspension, and he absolutely just grabbed hold of the game. And since that moment, everyone's gone, do you know what? We're not a team without him in it.
100%.
I've just got deep love for him, so...
Says a lot when Arsene Wenger was quite reluctant to let him go on a permanent move. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah, massive. And I've got Scott Parker.
Scott Parker.
I loved Scott Parker, and I'll always remember getting kicked out of the Valley at Charlton. I was sitting behind Sven-Göran Eriksson, who was current England manager, and Scott Parker scored an absolute screamer from about 30 yards out. And I leant over Eriksson and screamed, "Why is he not in your effing England squad?" And I got dragged out by my heels by security.
Love
that. He was just the king of the 2-point turn, wasn't he? Everything, turn backwards, turn around, turn backwards. But just a great player. But Thomas, what is your opinion? Oh, on the spot.
So hard. I think you've got to put Gary Speed in there. I think you've got to. Again, just another absolute engine. And again, chipped in with goals. He was a leader. You know, I had so many leaders during that time, the likes of Shearer and obviously Speed, Rob Lee as well. Another great name. I love Isaac Hayden as well, though. So it's. I think I'm going to go, because of my heart, I'm going to go with Isaac Hayden and Gary Speed.
Yeah, I agree with Speed. I think the man was just absolutely brilliant. I think he's one of the best midfielders we've ever had at the club.
Agreed. Definitely.
And then,
yeah,
go on, Carl.
No, I was just going to say, like, Isaac Hayden is first on the team sheet for me all the time, but Thomas mentioned him, and for me, like, he was pure class. It's like Cabaye. Johan Cabaye was pure class, absolute class. I'm like you, I absolutely adore Isaac Hayden, but thankfully he's still out of the club, so you know I don't want to chuck him in there just yet. But Johan Cabaye for me, like, I think he was underrated. He could do some ridiculous things on the ball.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Are you going Cabaye over Rob Lee?
I am, mate. I'm going to go Cabaye and Speed. I am.
Is that what we'll go with, Rob Lee or Cabaye?
Yeah, I'll agree with Cabaye, because I think I saw more of Cabaye at the club.
Yeah. I know we might get hated on a little bit for that, because Rob Lee's a legend, but
Rob Lee's unreal, and he's one of them players that just, again, he's one of these that just got the club, and he knows Newcastle United, and he's such a talent. But the era that we've grown up in, we've seen more of that team.
Yeah,
and for me, what Cabaye did to Newcastle was amazing.
He was a magician. Absolute magician.
The goal against Man United.
Yeah.
That free kick, he had no right to shoot. He should have been crossing.
No.
Yeah, there's one for you guys. So with the team we've picked so far, we'll get a free kick. Who's taking it? Cabaye, Solano, Robert?
Very good question.
Robert.
Yeah.
How far out are we? I think anything 30 yards plus, we're looking at Laurent.
What a fantastic problem that would be to have. Do you know what I mean?
Putting all three on the ball.
Yeah.
Wait, let's be honest, right? We're going to have Shearer as one of the strikers, right? So I'm just penciling in. There's no point arguing about it. It's happening. So you've got a free kick 25 yards from goal, and you've got on the pitch Norberto Solano, Alan Shearer, Cabaye, and Laurent Robert. Who's taking that free kick?
Probably Shearer, because he wouldn't let them.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
But through choice, who's taking that free kick?
Robert.
Oh, yeah, Robert.
Yeah, Robert. See, it's easy this lark, isn't it? Right, so strikers, boys. Strikers. I'm going to throw a controversial one in the ring and go with Alan Shearer. Because I don't think there is any point arguing. I mean,
yeah,
the greatest.
But
like, in again, go on.
Like Les Ferdinand, Andy Cole, fantastic. But again, you know, I only got to see them for 3-4 years, and it was Les like Ferdinand. Like 20 years ago. Demba Ba's got to be in there. That season Papi Cisse had, Jesus Christ, that was incredible.
Bellamy,
100%, 100%.
I mean, Shadrami Obi.
Well, you've got to put him in. You've got to put him in there for the Sunderland games, though, haven't you?
Yeah, but that was it.
Yeah, but you got to no, but yeah, I know what you mean.
Anton Sibierski. Why are you laughing, man?
Leon Best. Best.
That hat trick against West Ham. Do you know what? My mates just texted me again. Michael Owen. I wouldn't even.
Have you blocked him?
Tony. I wouldn't even entertain that man in anywhere in my club. He was overrated, overpriced, rat.
Yeah, he was.
That's my opinion.
No, I thought he was a mercenary, mate. Definitely.
He didn't want to come here. He never wanted to be at St James's. He wanted to go back to Anfield, and that was always his end. He didn't want to go to Man United. He didn't want to go to Stoke. He wanted to go to Liverpool. That's his team. Fair play to him. But we gave you an opportunity to come back to the Premier League. We paid big money for you to come back to the Premier League, and you just threw us under the bus.
Yeah.
Massively. So, yeah, Michael Owen's not on the list. I think we've always been blessed. There's always been that one striker that's given us hope. And
Obafemi Martins as well.
Oh, mate.
Martins, man.
That goal
against Tottenham, yes.
Naughty.
Hey, I'd love to have clocked the speed on that thing.
Yeah. That was incredible. Absolutely incredible. I remember being sat there with my dad when that's went in. I was like, what has just happened? Where has he pulled that from?
Perez.
Perez, good shout.
Again, I think he's massively underrated by the club.
It was a shame, isn't it, mate? It's not the majority. It's like Twitter, unfortunately. People feel that is the voice of a certain community and unfortunately, you got stick on there, and it is what it is. It's crap. Some of the way he was treated by some of the fans, because I didn't agree with it at all. But clearly, it had an effect on him. Which is
look where he's gone and look what he's doing, and that sums it up. He wanted to stay at the club. He had a buyout fee. They matched it. Good luck to him.
Yeah, definitely.
But as I say, I think we've always been blessed. I think we've always had decent strikers.
Which is surprising on the face of it when you look at it over the last few years and you think, oh, we've not had any strikers, but we haven't been that hard done by, to be fair, have we? If you look at it, have a real look at it.
Definitely not. I mean, the Shearer-Ferdinand partnership, the Shearer-Bellamy partnership, which is phenomenal.
Yeah, definitely.
But for me, in terms of what he did and what he brought to the team, I would throw in Demba Ba.
I like it.
I've said it for a few years now. I think he's the best striker we've had at the club since Alan Shearer.
Big shout, but I like it.
I think Callum Wilson will be that if we stay up and he gets another season at the club. I think he'll do great things.
Definitely. What about yourself, Thomas?
I don't disagree with what you've said about Demba Ba. He was class, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He could score again from different ranges. You know, I remember his goal against Man United where he had Rio Ferdinand and he volleys into the top corner.
Yeah.
That was something else, wasn't it? And Cisse, you mentioned Carl as well. He just scored screamers all the time, didn't he?
Yeah.
Like every goal he scored was a screamer.
Absolutely. And I don't mean to keep bashing Villa, but I'm pretty sure he scored a brace on his debut against Villa.
Mate, he scored a half volley from above his own head.
Those two goals that he scored against Villa were really good goals as well. When he scored them, I was like, "Oh my god, who is this lad?" And then obviously we got some unreal goals. And he scored that goal against Chelsea, which was just freaky.
Do you know what? You saying that, I was about to say that, but the two goals against Chelsea that day were both disgusting.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I was at Stamford Bridge, and when that second goal hit the net, no one cheered. Because they're like, what happened?
How?
Shout out to Shola, though. Do you know what? Shola's probably set up two of the best goals in Newcastle history.
Yeah. Yeah.
He nodded on to Shearer and he nodded on to Cisse.
I don't. You know what?
He did. So we're just going to put him in there for the assists.
Yeah.
Them and the Sunderland goals.
Yeah, Derby Day. We need them for Derby Day.
Yeah.
Well, we're not allowed to talk about next season. Positivity only.
It's a difficult one now. Like I like the Demba Ba shot, but then I'm thinking about the goals that Cisse scored. Some of them were unreal. Technically, really good goals. But Demba Ba was class. Absolutely.
But looking further back, look at the impact Bellamy had.
Yeah, massive.
Him and Shearer together were brilliant. One of the best partnerships I think we've had at the club.
I don't. If it was anyone else other than those two, I don't think we'd have done as well as we did in those 3 seasons. And in the European games that we had as well, because they were both class. Absolutely.
Just look back to that game against PSV when Bellamy scored that last minute winner.
Oh mate,
I mean,
unreal.
I was watching it earlier, and that Champions League run was ridiculous.
We were playing in the yellow kit that night, weren't we? As well, was it the gold kit we were playing in that night?
No, it was this one.
Was it that one?
It was this one.
We were playing the yellow one.
It was this one because the free kits of that season were this one, that one that you can see there, and this one.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So it was the season after we had that goal one, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. I love that shirt, man.
Was that against Feyenoord?
Must have been.
Feyenoord in the last minute, 3-2.
Yeah.
Bellamy it's in.
Yeah. When Dyer missed the sitter. I always remember watching that, and Dyer went through, didn't he? And he missed the 1-on-1, and you're like, oh my God, he's ruined it. We're out. And then just out of nowhere, you see this little Welshman run. And I think he admitted it himself. It was actually a cross. It was never actually a shot. He tried to play it back towards Dyer, but lost his balance.
Love it.
And, what a moment, honestly. What a moment. And then to get battered by Inter Milan.
I know.
But
Shall we have a vote?
memories. Go on, Denver.
Go on, I'll go Denver Bar.
Yeah, I'm happy with the Denver Bar shout.
What a squad. So we have got Shay Given in goal, Danny Simpson right back, Johnny Woodgate, Colaccini, who Tom gives a song. Bernard, and then the midfield is just dreams. Solano, Speed, Kabay, Robert, Shearer, and Denver Bar up front. Like, we're winning the league. We're winning the league. No one's touching us next season. But that's a big team. But we're going to call it there, lads. Thank you very much for joining me tonight on the very first Cockney Magpie show on Big Gunners channel. And thank you very much, lads.
Thank you, mate. Yeah, loved it.
Cheers, boys.